Hello and welcome back to my channel. To my returning subscribers and viewers, thank you so much for this support that you've always been giving me. And to my new subscribers and viewers, this is home and this is Blossom Benta and this is where we roll. And lately we've been talking about traditional custom and beliefs amongst the African community, especially in the Luo community, of which we've been talking to. We have already talked about marriage rights. We've talked about initiation rights, though we never touched on birth and naming ceremonies, because we also have births and naming ceremonies that I haven't talked about, but I'll talk about them maybe in the later videos. So we've been talking currently we're talking about the death when it comes to the traditional African customs and beliefs amongst the Luo community, of which this is now the part 3, because I saw that it was going to be a very long video, and so I decided to have segments like parts to have it in bits in bits. So this is the third part. Hopefully maybe it will be the final, I don't know. So we've been talking largely about death and beliefs, especially in the Luo community, among the Luo community, because when it comes to the dead, when it comes to the dead among the Luo community, they really appreciate, like they really gave respect to the dead. When it comes to the dead, they really gave respect to the dead, and they always shows high regard when it comes to the dead. So we've been talking largely about it, and we've touched on a lot of issues that pertains death and everything that it entails, the different ways in which people died according to according to the Luo culture, and in the Luo traditional customs and beliefs. That was long ago. Yes, we're not talking about currently, though. Still, there's things that we're still doing as Luos. We're still doing them when it regards to death. We talked about different ways in which people are buried. Yes, like maybe if I told somebody, in which we talked about different ways in which the dead were approached when it came to maybe the cause of death. Maybe like if I told the person like committed suicide, there were things that were supposed to be done, like the cleansing of the home, the cleansing of the entire, like, is it the village, the village, so in regards to those and everything that pertains to it. So now we wanted to talk about something to do with the burial. Yes, the burial. And how can I take it, how can I put it? Yes, like the burial. Yes, the burial, how the dead were buried. So this is how they were buried, especially if that was the man of the house, or like the head of the family. And this man, like, let's say for example, this man was had his own homestead. If this person had his own homestead, there's a place in which, there's a place in the entire homestead where this person was supposed to be buried. He wasn't supposed to be buried just anywhere in the home. No, this person was supposed to be buried in, because when you when it comes to like the Luo community, they believe so much in polygamy. They believe so much in polygamy, but that you would find that in most of the homesteads, you'll find that it had more than one wife, not even more than one. Let's say two wives, more than two wives. And now these wives were built. Their houses were built differently. The houses were built in different positions according to how the number, according to the way that person was, or the position that the person holds, the woman holds. If at all is the first wife, he was supposed to be given the first priority, and so he was given that he was like his home, or like not his home, his house, her house. I mean, her house was built on the right hand side of the compound, like from the main gate. Yes, that is where her house was built. So you'll find that if this person, the head of the house, died, yes, if at all the head of the house died, he was supposed to be buried on the right hand side of the first woman's home, of the first wife's house. That is where the person was supposed. I don't think I think we are together. This person was supposed to, if at all because each and every homestead had like two gates. It had the main gate and it had like the back gate. So here I'm talking about the main gate, and the main gate is called Rangach in the Luo. It's called Rangach. So this person was supposed to be buried on the right hand side of the of his home. And on the right hand side, what do you find on the right hand side? You find the woman's, his first wife's house, and that is where who is called a Mikai. Mikai is the first wife, is always the first wife. So this man was supposed to be buried on the right hand side of the senior most wife house. That is where he was supposed to be buried. But if at all this person was like, even if he never had any wife, still he was supposed to be married, to be buried that too. It never mattered, because nowadays we find that in Luos, most of them nowadays they don't like have more than one wife because of the economy. Financial constraints have made people to just stay with maybe only one wife. Because yeah, people are willing to have more than one wife, but they can't because of the economy of the country and financial status of the person. Yeah, but if at all you are willing, you feel that you can manage, it's okay, you can marry. But nowadays most of the people just stick, in fact most of the Luos, here I'm talking about the Luos, they normally stick to only having one wife. So if at all, if that, in fact, that doesn't hinder anything. Still, if at all you die, see, you're going to be buried on the right hand side of your wife's house, or on the right hand side of from the main gate. That is where you're supposed to be buried. So these people, like when it comes to like let's say for example, digging of the grave. Yes, the grave, I'm talking about the grave, where the grave was supposed to be, the positioning of the grave. So when it came to the digging of the graves were always dug at night. You would never ever see any grave being dug during the day. It's always at night. That is when the I mean, what do we call it, the grave were dug. Even till now, that is what normally happens. And the Luos believe that the dead cannot be buried away from their ancestral home. If at all maybe you are a Luo and you're living in the city and you die, there was no way you're going to be buried maybe in the cemeteries. That is in fact that was and still is something that is unheard of. No Luo will ever be buried away from his or her own ancestral place unless otherwise. But no Luo, you will never ever see any Luo being buried I mean in a cemetery. Never. That is something that will never ever happen, because his soul will no longer rest in peace. His soul will no longer rest in peace, and that is why they are normally transported back to their ancestral home where they're supposed to be buried. That is where they will be buried to stay with, so that the spirit can stay with their great grandfathers. Yes, even if it's a child, even if it's this is something that even kids, they're no longer being buried. They are not no longer, they are not being buried I mean in the cemeteries. They are not. If at all, even if it's a child that dies, you'll find that the organs for transportation and the body is taken back home to their ancestral home, so that the spirit can rest in peace. Otherwise, the spirit won't rest in peace, because the spirit will keep roaming around. And when the spirit is roaming around, that means that even the family members will no longer have peace. They will no longer have peace in that family. They will no longer, because this person will be sending like dreams to people. I will talk about that in a later video. They will still be sending dreams to people, telling the people how he's still there outside there, and people are in the houses, and with them they're just there. I mean, just laying in cold, something of that sort. That their soul is not has not rested. Their soul are just like the soul is not resting. Let me put it that way. It will be like their soul will not be resting. So that is why they are always transported back at home, and at home here I mean at their ancestral home, where they came from, when they came from. So that is how it is. Burial must be at their ancestral home. They normally transport their dead back home to get buried. That is how it's supposed to be. And when it came to like a burial and every funeral arrangement and what have you, you'll find that there was nothing like if you compare Luos, like yeah, if you compare the burial rites with the, let me say, like the Luos with other tribes, you'll find that with them they value the dead so much. Even if that person was a drunkard, nobody is going to talk about that drunk state of that person. Nobody is going to talk ill about the dead. Nobody is going to talk ill about the dead. Even if you're told to talk, to give your own testimony, nobody was going to talk ill about the dead, because they believe that the person is dead. Why now? Why are you talking ill about the person? Yet yet the person is no longer there. So there was no room for that. There was no room for that. And they believed that after burial, there was some rites, some things that were supposed to be done in that homestead. Like, let's say, for example, that person has already been buried. What next? What next? There was some things. You don't just bury somebody, then after burying the person, you just walk away. That is according to the Luo customs and beliefs. You don't just walk away after burying that person. You'll find that even if it's a church burial, because it's always a church burial. After the burial, the people always goes back to the house. They go back to the house. What are they going to do? You'll find that after going back to the house, they take some brooms. These brooms, what do you call these leaves? There are some special leaves that the people normally use at back in the village to sweep. So they take those leaves and start sweeping the house, this house where the body was lying, or the body was yes, where the corpse was lying, even if it had a coffin or so. So they just take a broom and start sweeping the entire house. Sweeping the entire house represented a new beginning to the family, because that person was there in that house the whole night. Let's say, for example, the whole night, people just paying visit to the person, viewing the body even throughout the night, something of that sort. Then after viewing the body, and the body has been taken back to the grave, the person has already been buried. What followed next was cleansing. It was like cleansing the family and cleansing the house. So they would take those brooms and sweep the entire house. Sweep the entire house to signify a new beginning. Then after that, maybe after 7 days or so, the people would come back, or maybe even if it's the church members, for those people who believed in Christianity, they would come back. And if at all they never believed in Christianity, if at all they believed in Christianity, they will come back just to pray for the family. Yes, just to pray for the family, and that's it. But if at all, but during the traditional Africans, during the olden days, yes, when our forefathers were still there, during that day, you'll find that after like some period of time, or maybe of months, or weeks, the people would come back. And when they come back, or even to the next day, or even after 1 week, yes, after 1 week, yes, after 1 week, they would come back and they will shave all their hair. They would just take a blade. Then an older woman was the one who normally does that. An older woman, not a man, but an older woman, a woman who was so old in the entire community. That was that entire community or the village. That was the woman that was chosen to break the norms, like to break the customs, to break the taboo, because they believe that since this person has already passed, the man of the house that was already passed away, was already passed, so they should have a new beginning. A new beginning to them represented the shaving of hair. No, though nowadays they don't do it, but in the olden days they really used to do it. So they would come back, the whole family, the wife together with her children, or if I told you that a grandfather who has died, the entire family, starting with from the grandmother, the kids, all of them would shave their hair. Regardless of how long your hair is, how thick your hair is, how bad your hair is, they would come back, shave the entire hair using a blade till it was like shining, bold, shaving it bold. And shaving of this hair meant that you are starting a new beginning. It represented a new beginning to the family. So they had to come back and shave all their hair. That was according to Chik. Chik is the like taboo or rules of that village, or not of that village, but of that community. It was mandatory that after the person has already been buried, what you need to come back, and after coming back, you need to have your hair clean, shaved, to represent new beginning. That meant that you're now starting a new beginning after the dead is gone. The dead person is gone. Maybe it was your father, or maybe it was your mom, something of that sort. But after that person has already been buried, you had to have your hair shaved, clean, so that it can grow again. After growing again, that is how harsh it was. And but they used to embrace it. Yeah, they used to embrace it because they believed that if at all you don't have your hair shaved, it was like a taboo. Yeah, it was a taboo, and there are some spirits that will follow you. Things wouldn't be going well with you, according to them. Things wouldn't be going well with you. So that was it. Yeah, I think I've covered enough when it comes to the dead. I think I've covered enough. I've really tried, and I've covered enough. So, but I can see that a lot of content is coming from this episode. That is what I've realized. A lot of things that I've even talked about, and I'm supposed to be talking about, has already come. That's my suggestion. That's what I think. Because I realized that I've been touching on some things that I should be having a whole video about it. And of course I'll do that. So if at all you've watched till here, and there are some places maybe that you haven't understood, or maybe they're bringing a lot of some confusion to you, feel free on the comment section, tell me that, by the way, this is where like I'm floating. I will make you sink. Yeah, we'll make it sink deep into you. So if at all you've watched me till here and you haven't subscribed, I don't know what you're still waiting for. And if at all you also have maybe something that you feel that I should be talking about according to the Luo's culture, kindly feel free to tell me on the comment section, and I'll surely do that. So till then, see you on the next one.